What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Still under the weather, on the road to recovery. Feeling better, but the voice still sounds a little rough. Still a little congested and stuff. So we'll see how long we go for this one. We are here for the weekly market update, the Sunday week in review, week that was, all that jazz. Gonna touch on the two big ones, basketball and baseball, with just a brief tap into the world of football. I decided to do that because I'm going to do a football offseason deep dive, looking at like the entire offseason with the NFL draft being this upcoming week. So that'll probably post. Maybe we'll do that Wednesday to post Thursday in conjunction with the first round. Just kind of look back at like the last 4 months worth of stuff, see how people have been doing, where they're going, what we think, and kind of dig in on that. But there was one particular player I wanted to talk about today. So I snipped that one out, but we'll be basketball focused and baseball focused today. Not surprising, those are the two seasons in session right now. The NBA playoffs have been quite an interesting ride so far. Very injury driven, injury focused. You know, we got Devin Booker out, Joel Embiid has this thumb thing that he's playing through. That game actually just finished. I'm recording Saturday early afternoon. Right after the Raptors 76ers game, actually. Luka is back. I'm not watching that. The game is ongoing right now. It's in the first quarter, so I'm not sure how he's going to play coming back from injury. The Bucks lost Chris Middleton. It's wild out there. Like, it is kind of opened back up again in terms of teams that have a legit chance. The West, the Warriors look really good. It's the emergence of Jordan Poole. And if Steph Curry could get back to completely normal and, you know, Clay keeps playing well and Draymond and all those guys, might be seeing the Warriors back in the Western Conference Finals, depending on what happens with the Suns and Devin Booker. I mean, he's out 2 to 3 weeks. That's a long time. And in the East, if I had to pick right now, it would probably be the Celtics. The Bucks losing Middleton, and we still don't really, I don't think at the time that I'm recording this, I don't know that I've seen a hard and fast date for his return yet. We'll see how that goes. And then the Timberwolves Grizzlies series has been a wild ride as those two teams battle it out. Blowing two 20-point leads the other night was wild stuff. John's been playing okay. Ant-Man's actually probably been a little disappointing so far. I'm sure as I'm saying this, 4 hours before they're due to tip off, that means he's probably going to go absolutely ham tonight. But it kind of is what it is. Nuggets have been extremely disappointing. Obviously, I don't think anyone's surprised by that. They're just outgunned in that matchup. Heat Hawks, not really a ton going on there. I think that series is going pretty much how people thought it was going to go. The Hawks did sneak one out back at home. We'll see if they can even the series up, maybe turn it into one, or if it slips away. Game 4 is always a very pivotal one when one of the teams is down 2-1. It kind of decides if they're going on vacation or actually want to put up a fight. But yeah, that's kind of a quick touch on the playoffs. Baseball season's been great so far. Vlad's been extremely strong. My boy Jose Ramirez has been extremely strong coming out of the gates. Juan Soto's been playing well. Doesn't have a lot of home runs, but has been getting on base like crazy. And then guys have been coming out of the woodwork as well. So it's been a nice mix to the baseball season. I saw BGS has reopened up standard service. I saw some stuff going around social media on that. I'm going to touch on that probably in its own separate video for Monday, maybe. I just don't know how relevant they are in the current grading landscape. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about. So, what's the other big hot button issue of the week? I guess this is a pirate stream. This is a pirate broadcast. I have not been approved. I do not have a content creator badge that says I am worthy. So, we're on pirate radio here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Dakota, Sports Cards Anonymous, had the Card Ladder team on this past week for a live stream. The Card Ladder team had been under the microscope, I guess, for some things that they have said regarding content creation in the current sports card space. And how that they're not pleased with the content that's out there and it's not appealing to investors and all this other nonsense, and painted with a very broad brush when really what they wanted to say is that they don't like Jeff Wilson's content, but they can't come out and say that. So instead, they just say most content, which includes literally everybody. So it just puts them in kind of a sticky wicket there. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what they had to say. People are going to watch what they want to watch. I don't agree with I don't really agree with many of their comments in regards to, they said that they would rather have one premium viewer like a Michael Saylor, who's some big highfalutin investor, versus 500 basically nobodies, referring to essentially all of us. So take that for what you will. It was interesting. Good for them for going on with Dakota and not really dodging questions or anything for the most part. I just don't think it was a great look for them. I'm not sure that they explained their point very well. I kind of get what they're going for, but because they don't want to directly attack SCI, it makes it sound worse. So I don't know. That whole situation's a mess. Go check out Dakota's video from that interview. And because of Carlos, once again, did a great, it's an hour and a half long, but it's a good listen, recap of that whole situation. So yeah. I'm going to save the voice a little bit. Let's go ahead and dive into charts and graphs. Today's video is sponsored by MySlabs, as it typically is. Go check out MySlabs.com. If you're selling on eBay, put that stuff on MySlabs as well. I've actually just bought and sold some stuff on MySlabs this past week. Things have been moving pretty decent over there as they continue to grow the user base, and they keep having record months over record months, which is good. But yeah, go check out MySlabs.com. Quick word from them, and then we'll dive into market movers for some charts and graphs.
The platform designed by collectors for collectors just got even better. MySlabs.com is proud to now feature dedicated sections for both raw cards and raw comic books. Browse over 100,000 slab collectibles, authenticated by the industry's most trusted grading companies. Then check out a massive selection of sealed wax and now raw singles and raw lots. Join a passionate, no-nonsense community of nearly 50,000 members and enjoy some of the best buyer and seller protection in the business. And as always, MySlabs offers one of the most disruptive pricing models in the hobby, with seller fees as low as only 1%. So the next time you're forced to pay 10%, 20%, or more to sell something from your collection, head over to MySlabs.com, the low-fee marketplace by collectors for collectors.
Once again, shout out to MySlabs for sponsoring today's video. Let's go ahead and dive into market movers. Link in the description down below if you want a free or $1 for a 1-month trial of market movers. First up, basketball. Jordan Poole. We talked about him earlier. We talked about him in a video earlier this week. We kind of used him as an example of these breakout playoff performers and how quickly their prices can spike, and how quickly they could probably come back down again. Poole undeniably been playing absolutely fantastic. That being said, he could be the next greatest thing in the league. His stuff probably is not going to hold at its current prices, most likely. If I had a bunch of Jordan Poole, one of my commenters really nailed it and said this is the reason why you buy multiples, and 100% accurate. If you have multiples of Jordan Poole and you bought cheap, you are in the absolute best position you could possibly be in, because you could sell it off on the way up and get cute and hold one in case he wins the NBA Finals MVP or something crazy. If you only have one, things get a little bit trickier. But if you have multiples, sell on the way up, 100%, absolutely. Nailed it. We talked about that. We've talked about that in the past on the channel, where buying multiples is really important and makes your selling decisions easier. His base prism. His Prism Silver PSA 10. This is over the last 14 days. Is the hottest card in the land. Up 94%, is up to $833. Pop 576 on this. Once again, we kind of discussed this. Careful with the pop counts on these. They are artificially low because his stuff just has not been graded, or just not been graded with PSA. So there's lots of his stuff out there. We know, because we know how many Zions and Jaws are out there in PSA 10 silvers. So we know that more are coming, and that alone will cause prices to come back down again with increased inventory hitting the market. Along with, let's be honest, he probably can't keep this up. And I said earlier, the Warriors could potentially be the favorite right now to win the West. So this probably has some room to continue to go up, absolutely, but just be careful. Be careful. If you could lock in a good profit, just take it and don't worry about what the card's going to do tomorrow. Unless you really believe Jordan Poole is going to be the face of the NBA, the next couple weeks are probably going to be the best time to sell his stuff. And you're better to sell early than you are too late, in my opinion, anyway. Let's look at his base. And this is one that kind of proves my point on what we're talking about here. This is his base PSA 10 Prism. Pop 785. It is going for $245. That is more than Zion and almost as much as Ja Morant. Ja Morant's at 282. Zion's at 170. And Poole is at 245. Now, you look at that and you're like, wait, what? And once again, this all comes down to population count. And in this case, because it made even less sense to send Poole base prisms to PSA, especially with the way things have been grading wise the last year, you weren't sneaking a lot of those in at current grading prices. Didn't make sense. The population counts on these are even more artificially low. His PSA 10 Prism pop count is 785. We all know that's not a real number. Ja and Zion are both over 20,000 population. What do we think this Jordan Poole Prism is going to be worth once those other ones start rolling out the PSA factory? Like, come on, guys, what are we doing here? If you had base stuff, I get the silvers to a lesser extent, but if you have base stuff of him graded, especially, or even raw, just sell it. Don't get cute trying to race to PSA to get base stuff in of Jordan Poole or any of these guys. Once again, Jordan Poole's turned into the whipping boy here because he's the best example of this, but we're going to look at another guy that falls into the same category. Just be careful with this stuff. You're gonna play the PSA, even SGC game, and get it down there and get it back, and you might miss your window. You might have been better off just selling raw. Sometimes just selling raw is okay, especially on this base stuff. This PSA 10 population is the most skewed thing ever because it didn't make sense to send this stuff in. So just be extremely careful if you were caught in Jordan Poole fever. Next up, Jalen Brunson, another one. Playing absolutely fantastic, looks great. Most of that's been with Luka, not on the floor, but he's played really good all season. This is his 2018 PSA 10 Prism, only pop 186. Once again, we know that's not a real number. Over the last 2 weeks, up 191% from $100 to $300. Another one, classic case. I'd be selling his stuff as fast as possible. He's probably going to sign a big free agent deal with somewhere. I don't know that he's going to stay in Dallas. Rumor is the Knicks really want him. I'd be selling. I don't care. I don't care that he's going to sign a big free agent deal. Let's be honest. The Mavs, even with Luka, if Luka's back at 100% healthy, with the way things are going with Phoenix, they look like they have a little bit of a better chance, but I don't think they're an NBA Finals team. Maybe they can make the Western Conference Finals. I forget their matchup next round. If they win, who they would get. But what are we doing, guys? It's Jalen Brunson. Like, just don't get cute with this stuff. This is the stuff you get burned on. Take your profits and just move on. I sound like a broken record, keep talking about it, but people keep falling into the trap. If you were lucky enough to get on this guy early, great. If you have multiples, even better, because once again, it gives you leverage to be able to sell on the way up instead of having to dump all at once. I didn't pull up his base stuff, but same thing as Jordan Poole. Rinse and repeat the conversation. Some guys going down. Devin Booker, PSA 10 Prism. This is over the last 14 days. Down 30%. Most of that's just been in the last couple days. $200 drop from 700 to 500. Once again, has the hamstring injury. Makes their road a lot trickier. He's out 2 to 3 weeks. Could they still make it? Yes. Could they still make it? He can come back and have a really good NBA Finals? Yes. Could this card flip and start trending back up again? Possibly. Is it risky? Yeah. But this is what happens. We kind of talked about this in the lead up to the playoffs. The second things start to go sideways on these guys, the bottom starts to drop out on their prices. We're going to look at another one, Joker. Decent chance he's going to win an NBA MVP, a second one. It's between him, Embiid, and Giannis. It's mostly between him and Embiid. I have Joker over Embiid because that seems to be the two that it is narrowed down to. I would take Giannis over any of the three, but from the general consensus is that he's not really in the running with those two. And, me and Dakota have been going back and forth about this for a while. I get that Embiid's a monster. He's really good. But the MVP is a regular season award. It's based on what happened during, the 82 games of the NBA regular season, like it or not, agree with it or not. That's what it's based off of. In that time period, Joker had the better season. That's not taking anything away from Embiid. He was probably the third best player in the league. Once again, I'd put them both behind Giannis. I think Giannis is the current face of the NBA and the best player in the NBA. But once again, as we've talked about, as we just talked about with Booker, Nuggets are getting overrun by the Warriors, and his stuff's starting to backslide because they're about to get bounced, even with a potential MVP award coming. This is just, once again, looking at base here. I know base, everyone hates base. But remember, this earlier Prism stuff is actually pretty low population. His base Prism is only pop 726. Also down 20%, $135 drop from 650 down to 500. And we could potentially see that keep sliding as they get sent packing. Moving over to baseball. Wander Franco. I just pulled this one up real quick. He had a really big game. I believe it was last night. He hit 2 home runs. He's had a strong start to the season. Someone got excited and slapped the bin on his first prospect auto for 4K. This card had been dipping slightly to start the season, even though he had kind of off to a pretty decent start, but the 2 home runs juiced it back up again. 14% increase, up $500. I expect Wander Franco stuff to get a little bit more of a run up over the weekend here, but that just happened, so not a lot of time to react yet. Gavin Lux, of all people, absolutely flying up the charts. Didn't think I'd see this one coming, but here we sit. I don't know that I'm necessarily buying into this one. This is over the last 14 days. This is just his base refractor. I say base, but just like his normal level refractor. Up 244% from $30 to $100. Who's to say that you still can't make a lot of money on low-end stuff? But Gavin Lux flying up the board. I don't necessarily see this one. Maybe I'm in the wrong here. I don't know. He's not off to exactly the strongest start this season, but for whatever reason, his stuff is on the rise. Vlad also off to a strong start this year. He's seeing a little bit of a bump up, nothing too crazy. His Sapphire's up 13%, Pink Refractor's up 20%, and his regular Refractor's up 7%. A lot of his other stuff was up slightly. And I can tell you, last weekend, when I was at a local show, a lot of people were asking about Vlad. He's very liquid right now, even if his stuff's not necessarily flying up the charts percentage-wise. His stuff is very, very popular right now. A lot of people are looking for Vlad Guerrero cards. Justifiably so. He's an absolutely fantastic player, and I love him. One of my favorite players in the league. Miguel Cabrera got his 3,000 hit. His rookie saw a little bit of a bump. This is his Topps Chrome traded. PSA 10 up 34% over the last week, or 2 weeks rather. $1,400 to $1,900. Pop 600 on this one. Great for him. 3,000 hits. This is a really good example to keep in mind. Miguel Cabrera is one of the best players in baseball. He has insane stats. Go look at his numbers. It's absolutely ridiculous what he's done over his career. Look at what his cards currently sell for. Keep that in mind when you think about the thousands upon thousands of dollars that get thrown at current Major League Baseball players and what they would need. What are the chances that they have even Miguel Cabrera's career? Just keep that in mind. Always keep that in the back of your head. No one really wants to talk about it, but most of the modern stuff that we're all buying, selling, flipping, changing hands with in the long term probably isn't going to be worth anywhere near what it is today. Just always keep that in the back of your head. That's why we move in and out of this stuff and don't hold for the long term, except for the cards that are truly worth holding long term, which are honestly few and far between. So, but nice achievement for Cabrera. Nice little bump up here in prices. You should not be buying Miguel Cabrera right now. We all knew that he was going to get 3,000 hits. Let it cool off if you want Miguel Cabrera stuff, and then buy back in the middle of the summer when everyone forgot that he had 3,000 hits this year. Fernando Tatis, I have not heard news on him coming back, but apparently he has hit his bottom as his stuff is slowly starting to swing back up again. I noticed when I was working through the price movements by card chart, a lot of Tatis Jr. stuff was on there with slight green increases. Once again, I'm looking at a 14-day time period here. Base refractor up 20%, X fractor up 20%, and prism refractor up 13%. So it does seem there is a little bit of creep on Tatis stuff. I was going to do one football card. I'm actually going to cut it here. I am struggling to get through this one with this cold. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, notification bell, all that jazz. Tomorrow, I think a BGS video. Later in the week, probably a football market video. I need to reschedule. I was supposed to talk to the president of a grading company. I had to postpone that because there's no way I could have got through an hour-long sit-down. So hopefully, depending on how I feel, that might be this week. I really don't know what their schedule is going to look like. But they said that they were 100% were understood the rescheduling and were willing to move it. We just don't know when that's going to be yet. So it might be this week, it might be next week, it might be a couple weeks from now. I don't know, but it will happen at some point in time. So, but that did get pushed. I would like to do a comic book video at some point in time. It just depends on how I feel. So, once again, guys and girls, have a great weekend. Catch you on the next one. Peace.